So, I have often said that my ultimate joy is finding amazing human beings who are doing wonderful things by applying their skills and talents to move the human family forward. So, I'm minding my own business in a small little village, thumbing through a magazine, and I come across the story of two sisters who've built a brand that's not just a South African brand, but has become a global brand. I circle the address and I send it to Rara, who's in the team. I'm like, Rooster, we have to find these people, we have to find them. And then she finds them. And they turn out to be wonderful human beings. So the story was true. So you who are listening to this podcast are in for a treat. I know I say this often, but it's because it is true. The people we find and invite here are people whose souls are just so intact and whose magic serves as an inspiration for me. So today, if you're new, welcome to Future Readiness with Zar. If you're a part of this community, welcome back. Please bring 10 of your other friends next time. So today I have Mo and Michelle, who together founded and run the fantastic outfit known as Mo's Crib. So, and also it almost feels like a cheat because we've had like a prelude meet because we've had occasion to do something else in my other life as faculty. But today they are here on their respective couches having a conversation with all of us. So Mo and Michelle, welcome.
Thank you so much for having us.
I'm interested in why you said yes to the invitation, because the invitation happened before we could meet. So why did you guys say yes? It was a strange email from some person with a 10-letter surname.
For me personally, I really love sharing the Mo Script story. And so any platform where we're able to then share our story and do so authentically, I would definitely jump to the opportunity. So, it really stems from that. I really love sharing the story. And also because I have learned so much from people's stories that has inspired me in my journey. And I believe that, sharing my story will inspire somebody else's journey.
Fantastic.
Pretty much the same sentiments, we don't really think too deep about who we're meeting or who we're speaking about, but the opportunity to be on any platform, even if it's just one individual listening to the success that we call a job, is something that we are always open to sharing. And you're right, we didn't really know what platform this was or where the email was coming from. It was really, the intention is always very authentic and clear. And it is clear for us that we really want to share the Mo Script story to anyone that wants to listen.
Oh, wow. So then let's start at the beginning. So who wants to tell us the Mo Script story? And also just how the name came about, but just tell us your origin story. How did this come to be? What glad it did, but we always want to know how deep the roots run and what the origin sentiment was.
So basically, I would say that, the origin started way back when we were young. Mo is a natural born artist, and when she was around the age of 8, she would naturally make some craft rugs made from plastic, so old plastics, and she would just crochet that together. And she was very much interested in that, kind of thing. Yeah. And she had a Japanese roommate that she had met while she was living in London. And now this is now in her early 20s. And she was living in London, and she had learned from a Japanese roommate how to make an origami swan sculpture. And then, a few years later, she decided to move back to South Africa, and she had been making this swan for friends and family. But I think at some point she wanted to really just find a place where she can sell these swans. And that never really, there was never really a place where she could actually sell them. But, life continued. And in 2015, I invited her to a market because a friend of mine was not able to join me to this market. So I said, okay, can you please just join me to the market? And she joined me at a market called Gamers Volkskenke. It's now called Gamers Makers. And we went to this market. It was a very beautiful market. There was just so much beautiful craft, And one of the things that stood out for the both of us was this roses made from newspapers. And Mo stood and she was like, wow, this is actually a place where I could actually sell my origami swans, because I've been trying to sell them everywhere, but I think I finally found the place. And, she wrote to that market, and a year later, we were there at the market exhibiting, this time not as guests, but as
Yes.
exhibitors. And, it naturally, like our roles naturally aligned there, because if I went there to support her, but I found myself looking to doing the logistics and helping to sell these origami swans, and she was making while we were selling, and what we thought was just going to be a fun week trying to see if people will like this origami swan really became a phenomenon where at the end of the market we end up winning the best product of the market. And that was the award, of the time there. And so essentially that's where it all began, right? And at the time we were working full time, and we didn't think that this was going to be something that's going to end up being Mo's Crib. It was actually called Origami is Me, because it was all about these origami swans. And a year later, we decided to then introduce the PVC. And how that happened is because, when we were selling this origami swan, everybody was talking about how it's made from sustainable material, it's environmentally friendly, and it's a storage compartment. And that made us think, oh my goodness, what can we do to make our, offering at this market more exciting, to bring something fresh. And that's when we decided to bring the PVC laundry basket, which is made from, recycled PVC water pipes that we get from landfills and construction sites. So we are using this recycled, material to make these very steady and strong baskets. So essentially, that's essentially the how it came together. And then the name transitioned to Mo's Crib, because we then thought, well, laundry basket is a home product, and Moronga is, basically both our names start with Mo, because my other name is Mushibudi and Kimurongwa, and then also we are Mokone. And so, that's how the Mo came up, Mo's Crib, with the idea to really just be making homemade products that are sustainable. So essentially that's how it came up.
This is ridiculously beautiful. So I love the idea of just, firstly, you have a sister who says, I like this market thing, come see. So one person says yes, and then you go there, you see, you find something wonderful, but also you find something that feels like it's aligning to the things that you want to do. You then give yourself permission, right, to write to them and say, hey, we were here, I would love to see if we can do. Because I think part of what we learn all the time is if we don't take chances on ourselves, the universe doesn't meet us halfway, right? And I love the idea that you took a chance on yourselves, and then you ended up winning the best product at the market. Here we are in 2024, you're running a successful operation, but that is not how it started, right? Because you didn't move just from the market to the successful thing. So you're now speaking about evolving your product. You have customer feedback. People are saying, we love it. You're dealing with, it feels sustainable. You're challenging yourselves to think about, okay, how else might we make our products sustainable? But were the two of you always environmentally aware, or were you just responding to the trend?
It was neither, actually. So going into the business, we were not very conscious of the fact that the product that we're offering is actually upcycled product. And so it was just the passion of craft and the passion of creating art and sharing that with different people. And so it was not about a trend, and it was not about solving a specific problem. We were not in that industry where we felt like we needed to solve anything for the earth. And so it kind of landed on our lap. It's just like an opportunity met us exactly where we were in terms of our passion. And so when we were creating these origami swan sculptures, a lot of people came to us and said, wow, this is an upcycled product. This is actually recycled. And this is a product that is sustainable. And so that's why we wanted to follow through with that, because we understood that people wanted something that is different, that is unique, that is made from, consciousness. And so that was why we had a follow up with the PVC recycled product, because we wanted it to follow the ethos of Mo Script, which is what made us popular in those markets. The fact that it's made from recycled material, the fact that it's handmade, the fact that it's practical. And so that's eventually how Mo Script came about. So Mo Script is something that was born from passion completely, and not about trend, and not about thinking at the time that we were solving a problem, which apparently it was quite a huge problem.
This is I'm chuckling because I mean I've been in the world of brands for as long as Ratilo has been alive, which is only 2 minutes. But for her, she feels like she's been alive for 2 minutes. But I've been working for a long time, and I've had the absolute joy of working with either startup brands or brands that are supersizing or they're right sizing. And what I love about what you've just said is your business was born from a passion, but unfurled with a purpose. So this feels like a positive unintended consequence. You know how when you're communicating something and it lands just the way you want to, or you're communicating something and it lands differently, but it lands with a much more positive outcome. I feel like this is what has happened for you guys. Am I right?
Right. I mean, you're completely right. Absolutely. I mean, when they say do your bit and the universe will meet you, this is exactly what we're talking about. Because we were led by our passion. We were really excited about this market. It was a part-time market. We had full-time jobs. We had no business being there, first of all. And so, we did our bit, and the universe, landed and presented us with an opportunity that was just, problem solving, creating opportunity for the community, cleaning the earth, an opportunity to become global. Little did we know that those little few first steps would lead us to the place where we are now.
I just want to add.
Yes.
Yeah, I just want to add to say that another important thing, and I think it's really important to mention this, is that when we were at this particular market, the feeling that we had, we really spoke about it a lot. When we would drive home, we'd be like, it was so exciting and it just felt so free. We just felt so free, comparing it to how we feel when we worked. I mean, we did not necessarily hate our jobs,
yes.
But, just comparing the feeling that we really, had when we were at this market, and we we're just talking about, oh my goodness, that's so exciting. Maybe this is something we need to lean into, And so I think another important thing is that we listened to how we felt, and we were quite inquisitive, and we were quite interested to see, okay, what would that mean? Or what does it mean? Does it mean that maybe this is what we need to be doing because we just get so excited from it? And so, I think that thing of really also just really trying to listen how you feel about, how a situation makes you feel inside. That's also quite important, because if it really is, almost nudging you towards a certain path.
So please take us into the conversation that now happens. Who initiates the talk that says, sis, this hustle is now feeling like it can be 100% kind of gig? Like, when did that conversation happen, and who initiated it, and how did it go?
We were living in Switzerland at the time. We had been attending markets for about 3 years at the time. We were living in Switzerland. Michelle was studying her master's in international trade law at the University of Bern in Switzerland. I was working at the head office of Nestle in Vevey. And yes, we attended a market in Europe. And it was a sensation. A lot of people were telling us about this craft, how it's unique. They had never seen anything like it before. And, this was exciting comments that we were getting from customers. And yes, so we came back home and we had a chat. I mean, I can't remember exactly who started the conversation, but one thing I know about Michelle and I is that we're always aligned. And so when the conversation happened, we were on the same page. We decided to come back home for a few weeks to attend another market. This was back in 2018. And I remember having a conversation with Michelle and saying, if this is a success, if this market is a success and we sell out on all the baskets and all the products, this is a sign that we need to come back home. So we took leave from work. She took leave from school. We
Yes.
headed home, flew in. I started manufacturing. This is when we employed 2 artisans to help us with the baskets. I made the swans, they made the baskets. We went to the market and we sell out. So we look at each other and we're like, okay, so we are coming back home. I remember this was December 2018, but she still had, I think, about 8 more months in university to go. So we decided to apply ourselves and save a lot of money. We stopped going out. We stopped entertainment. We sold everything that we had in Switzerland. 8 months came and we kept to our word. That's when we came back home.
Awesome. I'm hearing sacrifice. I'm hearing trust. I'm hearing alignment. Do you think these are the things that have helped you as sisters and Black women build a successful business? Because we have so much information and noise in the ecosystem about how Black women can't work together, Black women don't build businesses that last, and family can't work together. What is your secret?
You know what? I would say alignment is a very, very important one. Our secret, first of all, I think it's the fact that we were raised by parents who, didn't create comparison between the two of us as sisters or as siblings in general, because we also have 2 older brothers. And so we were always celebrated in our individuality. And whenever somebody else would elevate at a certain level in their lives, we were taught to celebrate that and not to envy that. And so I think that is a very important foundation for us as sisters. And it created a lot of trust. I knew that I could always trust her, even just in general, how we helped one another in different aspects that had nothing to do with the business. Another important one was that of alignment. Mo and I are very aligned in many things. We think the same. And shortly before we went into the business, I remember we went into almost like, I don't know what I can call it, like almost like a spiritual school that we created ourselves. We would really try to really learn a lot about what our values are, and what does that mean. How can we translate that into our business? What do we really believe in, and how can we try our best to really walk authentically in life? That really does add up to the success that you see today. And so it really is a culmination of our relationship with sisters, how we were raised in our family values, and our individual values as well. And we sat and we talked about them. She had to sit and write her values. I did the same. When we talked about, okay, how then do we create a business that is centered around it's people, more than profits, a business that goes back to its values. So if we're saying that we are, using sustainable material, what happens when we get an opportunity to use non-sustainable material, and it's a good deal? We cannot do that. We have to remain true to our values. And so a lot of, the success I really attributed to all the way from, our foundation growing up, to us having this mind to think about, okay, let's live life, with intention, and let's move in our values. And I believe that when you do that, you really just become aligned with your path, with your true path and your true journey, because you are not basically following what is happening around you. You're not doing something because somebody else did it. You are doing it because innately inside of you, you feel like that is the right path that you're supposed to follow. And so essentially, it really just builds a brand that when people are looking at it from the outside or from the inside, they can see that really they really stick by who they say they are.
You've touched on so many things, and I want us to lean into many of those themes that are coming up. The first one is around living a principled life, right? I was raised by a queen mother whose name is Grace Kumbuzile Daloguhle Dumisa. And she's always said that a principle isn't a principle until it costs you something. So in your sharing, Michelle, you're actually saying you've also had opportunity to explore and challenge your values with this could make us more money, but it wouldn't be sustainable, or it wouldn't be a values match, and you've had to forego those things. So I guess the question then is, how do your personal values reflect into Mo's Crib, the brand? And how do those values also reflect on how you recruit and treat the team you have?
Yeah, so basically, thinking about the fact that, so I basically had to go deep into what do I care about, what moves my heart. And I care so much about people. I naturally, sometimes I really just overdo it, where I will go too deep into some of our team members' issues. And Mo
Yes.
reminds me sometimes that, don't forget that we are in a work setting here. And
Yes.
so I think another a very important thing, and looking back at, where I was as an agricultural economist, I just had to think about, oh my goodness, I wasn't so motivated. I wasn't so, I wasn't feeling so motivated in the role. And right now, thinking about how I'm able to make a direct impact into the community, I then realized that, a very deep core of my value is that of, caring for people and being able to make an impact. That really means a lot to me. Then I feel like that's somehow, my purpose, And so that then drove some of the values that are in the business, which, a very big one is caring not just for the planet, but also caring for the people that make the product, the people that help build the brand. And that's when we thought of creating our wellness initiative. And in our wellness initiative, we basically have transport subsidy for our staff members for their daily commute. 50%. It's actually 50% of their daily commute that they come to work. We have a wellness we have a health benefit where we actually give them access to good quality health. And with that, it's like every single month they have a subsidy where they can actually go to a clinic that is easily accessible to them, all confidential. And so we find them, going to this doctor often, where they can actually get monthly checks, or maybe if they're not feeling well, they can actually go to the doctor. Our artisans who are doing the PVC get free lodging. And these are the people, Sizakele, who we've met that were on the side of the road, working and living in shacks, not having proper living conditions. And now they're living in, a proper roofed, dwelling where they can shower every morning. So we really had made an impact in their lives. We now have a library where we encourage them to read self-help books, because of, we want to see them grow beyond where they are, at the moment. And we have a wellness initiative where it's a Friday, every single last Friday of the month, they take off, and it's all paid. And by this, we are saying to them, we want to promote, mental health, in the company. And before we recognize you as a packaging assistant or as a customer service agent or a warehouse coordinator, we recognize you as a mom, as a sister, or people that just have errands, and we just let them be on those days. And so these are some of the things that, came out of just that one value. You see how much you've actually made that impact. And, the ripple effect is so good for the business, all the way to how our products, how well our products are made, how well our packaging is, and the staff retention. We've got 100% staff retention in our company. So we just had to really just, lead from the heart. Yeah.
Mo, did you want to add something there?
I mean, she said it all, I think one of the other biggest things for us is consistency, which, because people like to talk about the glory, the beautiful moments, the accolades, the partnerships. And I think people need to hear more about being consistent, even at a time when you feel like it's not happening, or when you're waking up and your account is on a minus and it's payday that day. How do you keep on moving? I remember when my sister and I came back from Switzerland, we thought we had all the money to, start the business and scale the business. And we found ourselves in a position where we were actually literally kicked out of our apartment 3 months from coming in back to Switzerland.
Wow.
And our friends not understanding how we've landed in this situation, because we were, living the high life in Switzerland with really great jobs.
Yes.
And I said to Michelle one day, Michelle, how would you feel if I were to say to you that you will not make any money? Would you still be willing and passionate about selling baskets? And she
Yeah.
said she would. And I said, okay. So then we continue
Okay.
without we at that point in time, we had not even landed a contract with any retailer.
Got it.
And so we had to go into malls. I remember not having money to even buy lunch or money to even buy a drink. We would bake cookies at home and carry
Yes.
Oros, make
Yes.
Oros and go to the mall and sit there the
Yes.
whole day waiting for someone to see us and buy a basket.
Yeah.
And I remember making 17,000 rands that week and feeling so accomplished. We had no money.
Yeah.
It was December time. Our dad was ill. Our mom had just passed away. And we were in despair. I mean, I remember the time even calling around I actually went for an interview thinking I might have to go back to work. But one thing that we continued to do was to sell the baskets. We still had passion. We still had drive. We still pushed. We were looking for investment, even though we didn't even understand the language. We continued
Yes.
to call and see retailers and selling our baskets. And consistency is something many people don't talk about. And so when people compare themselves to most group or trying to reach a point where they have partnerships or are selling globally, they're comparing themselves or, wanting to start in that position of a partnership with a Target or partnership with the Crane Barrel. And they don't remember
Yes.
the beginning. They don't compare themselves to how we were day one when we landed back from Switzerland and we had no money and we're living in an apartment with no furniture and we're literally kicked out of that apartment. And so consistency of it all, still managing to continue to selling a basket, even though you know that I might not even sell one basket today. But that passion and the consistency is something that we speak less about, but it's something that we need to speak more about because it's the reason why I would say it's one of the core elements of what made us successful. And I think it is in a way a value of ours, of myself and my sister, that we are consistent. And we show this in the way that we treat our employees, the way that we treat our customers, the way that we carry on, even when we are facing adversity.
That is such a crucial thing because I mean we live in a time now where so many of us, and I see so many examples of people who are moved by the glamour of it, not necessarily recognizing the grind that comes before the glamour. So it's an important thing for you to just remind us that you weren't born ready and looking so fabulous and successful with this global imprint. There were a lot of things that you had to do without. And the ultimate test was whether you'd be willing to do this even if nobody bought your stuff. So walk us through, because you've mentioned some of your global partners now. I want you to just, for the benefit of everyone who's listening for the first time, because I heard you tell the story at the business school last week. So how do you end up at that market in New York with no money?
So the vision of Most Group was also always to become a global brand. That's one thing that we knew we were sure of. And I think it's because of our international exposure. I've lived in 3 different countries, UK, I've lived in France, I've lived in Switzerland, Michelle the same. And so we always had that global exposure that I also feel that it is a core component of what Most Crib is all about. And so we knew that we wanted to become a global brand. And so essentially, when we left Switzerland, we had money and we invested all this money to, just going to New York and attending this trade show where there's a possibility of you meeting buyers of the biggest retailers in the world. And so this is where we thought, okay, this is it. It makes sense. We've got baskets. We fly over to New York. We have this trade show thinking we're going to come back with hundreds and hundreds of orders. Not knowing that we would walk away with not even a single order. I mean, it's quite a competitive market with over 5,800 stalls. It's so overwhelming, even for a buyer to get to your stall. We were right at the end because we had the cheapest stall. We didn't really have an advantage there. And, even though we walked away with no order, one of the things that we walked away with was the best product of that market. As I mentioned, 5,800 people exhibiting and being named one of the best products in this international market really, really was a certificate of honor to us, and it let us know that we are on the right path. So we came back home and we had the certificate, and we were mentioned by a local magazine called VC, where they featured our story, mentioned our product as one of the best products. So it gave us like some kind of guarantee that even though we didn't have any orders, we were on the right path. And so we started thinking maybe it's time for us to start locally, and that even though we're a global brand, we might want to tap into the local retailers first and foremost and see, the appetite of our product. And so we reached out to retailers. Builders Warehouse was one of the first ones that we reached out to. Woolworths would be the second. And they really loved our product. They loved our story. These two Black sisters from Mabopane in Pretoria, having won a global award, have a global recognition. Amazing. Where do we sign? And so we launched at Woolworths, we launched at Builders Warehouse, and Mr. Price came across the article from BC, wrote to us, do you want to collaborate? And so currently we're in all the retailers, that sell, that and love, that sell homeware. We're at Mr. Price Home, we're at Woolworths Home, we're at Home, the TFG group. And we are also international, selling at Crate and Barrel and one of the biggest retailers in the world, which is Target. And we have a footprint globally. So not just in the USA, we're also in Canada, we're in Saudi Arabia, we're in Dubai, we're in the Philippines, we're in Singapore. Very large footprint. And we're one of the biggest African exporters of craft, coming from South Africa to the world. So we are really a global brand and very recognized globally.
How, I don't understand, when do you pinch yourselves and go, is this real? Or am I the only person who's ululating here?
I think, when we went to Crate and Barrel the first time, when we walked into the store, it was in Soho, New York, and we saw the products. I mean, we could cry just looking at that and just thinking about the sweat and tears that went into making this product. And now here it is on a global stage. And it just made us realize that, your dreams really do come true. Because if you can remember, this is what we've wanted from the beginning. We wanted to create a global brand. It wasn't easy creating that. But seeing that and having gone through, the challenges, you are able to really just accept that, this, of course it leads to this because of so many challenges that you had to go through to see that. And so that first moment when you see that product is finally in Target, or it's finally even at Woolworths or, Crate and Barrel, it's unbelievable. But now that we've done this for so long, we've gotten used to it. It's still exciting. We still go to the retail store sometimes to just check the product and see it on the shelves. So we really have gotten used to it. And I think also because of business can be so challenging at times. It's like, okay, you know what? Something has to give. We have to be in that retail store because of so much that we've just put into creating the brand, into making the product, chasing after the artisans, making sure that the product is, the right fit. So yeah, I think right now we really have definitely gotten used to it. I mean, there's other retail stores where we want to be. If next time maybe we are in a new retail store that is not currently part of our customer portfolio, it will also be another, pinch me moment.
Fantastic. So walk me through this for a bit, because we also want to make certain that the people who are listening, who may be in a full-time job and they're thinking of switching to make their side hustle a full-time thing, you were very good, Mo, in just taking us back to the conversation around consistency. Michelle was walking us through the importance of personal values translating into your business values. I'm interested in who are the people you have in your corner who are your truth tellers, because it's also important that as you are galloping ahead, you almost keep a council of wise people who keep you honest and truthful to your original purpose. Do you have those?
I mean, our CFO definitely tells us the truth when it comes to our budgets and our spendings in the business. But I think we're very spiritual. And, we rely on our spiritual practice to speak to us through us. And a lot of times that's where we go to find comfort and direction. And this is why we are so open to speaking as much as we do about our company, because we find ourselves, especially in the beginning of the business, in a very lonely place where we just had each other and no compass at all, or no one to really rely on to truth tell, particularly because the friendships that we've built over time that we have in our families are not necessarily entrepreneurial. They're in corporate spaces, and our parents are late. They were entrepreneurs. And so we find ourselves in a very lonely place. But one thing that we confine ourselves into is a spiritual belief. We're Christians, and we go to God and we pray. We speak to our ancestors. But I think one of the people that really holds us accountable is our CFO. He really tells it how it is. It always is tough discussions. We never look forward to those discussions. We've actually parted with him before and then got back with him again, because he tells us what we need to, what the business needs. And even though sometimes it may be a bit painful to hear, but we kind of lean into that, because we know that is for the good of our company.
Yes, yeah, because the role of truth tellers is to keep us honest. And like you say, sometimes the truth comes at an inconvenient time, because you're thinking, we've just landed Crate and Barrel. Can I go and buy that Porsche, please? And somebody goes, no, this is not who you are. this is not who you are. You were saying something, Mo?
Also have an investor. Yeah, we also have an investor. I don't know if Michelle wanted to add something, but we sold 28% of our company to IDF, which is headed by Polo, the amazing Polo, and they hold us accountable as well. We have quarterly meetings, looking at the strategies that we have in the business and how we continue growth in our business. We also have a mentor, Shane, who is the co-founder of Yappy Chef. They've since sold their business to Mr. Price Group, but he's our mentor that we meet once in a while, and he definitely is a truth teller. So we have people, a network of people that hold us accountable in the areas of business in which we occupy.
Yeah, I wanted to say that's very
responsible. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I wanted to add to that. That's a very good question that you asked, Sister Kele, because a lot of times when you, as Mo mentioned, that in the beginning it was quite lonely. It was a lonely journey, and we really just relied just on the two of us. And like I said, that Mo and I tend to really sometimes think the same. Of course, we've got different strengths. But we are so aligned in that sometimes we really can just lead ourselves into one path without seeing a different perspective. So it was very important for us to just find different types of people that can really have some kind of influence in how we do things and how we spend, or certain decisions that we make in the business. That was very, very, very important for us to actually get those kind of key people in the company, or in our network, that can help us navigate certain decisions or certain behaviors that we have as as business owners or as entrepreneurs.
That's and so what we're finding as well. Thank you for adding that, because what we're finding is that sometimes people get afraid of inviting into the room people who may hold different views. But what we know is that diversity of thought enriches innovation, it enriches imagination. It also keeps you from going stale, because there's a danger of complacency. You will say, well, we've been creating these baskets this way for the last 10 years and people are buying them. Why would we need to change? But actually, if you trust that the people you have in the room are headed to where you are headed, then you're in a good place, because they will always keep you true. This story I could hear a million times. I really, really could. But I will ask you a trick question now, which is, you've now had maybe close to 6-7 years of success. What happens in 5 years' time? What happens in 10 years' time? Are you building a generational business, or are you building something you want to sell off to McKinsey or Bain or whichever of these private equity practices when they come your way? What is Mo's Crib in 20 years' time?
I always say that you really can never fully grasp what the future holds. And that has always, and that has been, that has been modeled in our journey. Where we are today, doing the things that we are doing. Of course, we've had certain ambitions to, be an international brand, but certainly never imagined that we would even be at a point where we are opening up our warehouse and having over 10,000 people wanting to shop at your warehouse in the space of 5 days. And so life just happens, beautifully, and, thankful to the universe that it maps certain things out for us. But of course, we've got a dream to, get Mo's Crib to be more direct to consumer. The first strategy was for us to then, be wholesalers, and that was it. That's what we wanted. But now we are seeing that the journey towards, selling directly to the customers is, has been a very strong strategy in the business that we never thought that would actually, take as a direction, for the business. And so, in as far as building a family business, we really want to, get to a point where the business can be sold. And so we had to then think about, what does that look like? What do we have to implement right now in order to get to a point where we are selling off the business? That is our end goal, full stop. We do not want to we don't have the desire to have our, children taking over the business, etc. But we really want to see the business get to a point where it's sold. And right now, we just have to think about, what does that look like, And we've already started implementing certain things. So we need to actually build up the strategy, the model, the inside of the business. Everything has to actually be built up in a way in which one day it can actually be presented to, to be sold. And that I think the beautiful thing is that, first of all, we've managed to build a brand that can stand on its own as Mo's Crib. We've managed to build a brand that is recognized for, its strong ethics of sustainability, that of, employee wellness. And so I think that we are off to a good start, because it's not just about, the business is owned by Michelle and Mo. And so that's why it is what it is. But it's also because of we have very, very good products. It's a brand that stands out. It's a brand that has really good brand affiliations as well with the some of the business partners that we're working with, like your Woolworths, At Home, Crate and Barrel, etc. So I think that we really are off to a good start.
Mo, did you want to add anything there?
I think I'm aligned. Definitely, I'm aligned to that, saying that the future is so bright. We were really looking at wholesale, and now we've tapped into the direct-to-consumer market, and there's growth from there. We do want to become a global business. And so our direct-to-consumer channel, the model that we've introduced here locally, we are implementing and looking at having and hosting our the first international factory sale next year in Los Angeles. And so things are looking up. We have quite a strong support internationally. I don't know if you know this, but we were actually named one of the top 10 businesses in the USA. We were named by Emma, I don't know if you know her, Emma Greed, who's the co-founder of Skims and co-founder of Good American. And she spoke about our business and spoke to us directly about how we've built a business that can grow even beyond our years. And so we recognize that the brand that we're building has a global opportunity, and we're not taking that for granted. So we're going to go ahead and make sure that we take our place.
Oh, fantastic. Oh, my word. You have built much more than just a strong brand. You've built what we speak of as a high influence brand, right? Because what we tend to see is that high influence brands inspire people. And in your case, you've literally just done it the right way, which is building it from the inside out, inspiring the team who create the products, because if they're inspired and taken care of, then the love goes into the product, and the love is infused in my home when I bring your product into my home. So that's the first piece. The second piece is, we know that high influence brands grow profits, so you're a profitable enterprise. We also know that high influence brands transform society. So whether it is just by how you've been deliberate in baking goodness into your business model, or responding to these wicked problems that everybody's attending to, either through sustainable production or conscious consumption. All of these things are things that you have done. So you're a perfect example of what in the MBA classrooms we talk about when we encourage people to just think about the power of a strong brand. It has to have meaning, because when I buy Mo's crib, it makes me feel good about myself, because I too am contributing to healing the planet. When I think of making my home pretty, Mo's crib is front of mind, which therefore means that as a brand, it's got a lot of salience. But also, there are multiple imitators on the marketplace, but you have been so different and distinctive that I know that this product not only will deliver on its physical promise, it also will deliver on its emotional benefit. So to the two of you, I bow deeply, and I can only wish you continued success. Please don't be strangers. Come back and tell us what else you're doing in the world. We'd love to be here to celebrate with you and to ululate from the back of the hall, because I think if we're in the front, they'd chase us out the room. But you have just been, your story is one that really, really warms my heart. So before we let you go, we often ask guests what future readiness means for them. And you've answered it in some way. So I'm going to ask you a different question, which is, what do you think, and I'll ask Michelle, what do you think your dad is feeling and thinking when he looks down to see what you guys have done? And Mo, you can answer that from Mom's perspective.
Yeah.
You know what? We're fortunate enough to have our dad around a little bit longer, and he's seen, the success so far as 2022, where we had already been in Target, where we'd already been at Crate and Barrel, and Woolworths, etc. And so I really just think that right now, with the growth that we've managed to build, he's really feeling so proud, especially because he was an entrepreneur himself. And he's just, looking down and thinking, these ladies have really continued the course, knowing how hard entrepreneurship is. They have really made me proud. And, just also feeling very inspired by our journey, the fact that we've been able to continue despite the challenges that we face, that he's seen us face, and that we continue to still face, and going ahead, with a determined effort to succeed no matter what. I really believe that he's feeling very, 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 very proud, and as he should, because he really also inspired us, to go for entrepreneurship. We really drew a lot of our entrepreneurship, desire from watching him, build his businesses. And so, yeah, proudness is what he's feeling, that his two girls are doing what they're doing and continuing.
Fantastic, yeah. Mo?
The very same, very proud. I mean, I remember one day I was preparing for an interview with Top Billing. I was so shy and so scared to speak on radio, on TV, on any platform, because I always felt I didn't belong, because I am a law school dropout and I never completed my higher education. And so I always saw myself as somebody that didn't belong to the table. And I remember this conversation that I had with her while she was motivating me and inspiring me to be on the show and be bold. And she said, you have to go up there and say, here am I. And that is actually the slogan of our business now. Whenever we have a factory sale, our t-shirts have the saying, here am I, because I am here and I'm making a mark and making a difference. She would be absolutely proud. I know she is. And you know what, Mama, here are we. Now we are on this platform with you, Sizakele. And, coming from the background that I come from, I would have never imagined in a million years that I would be on this platform sharing my story.
Oh, this is glorious, glorious. Thank you so, so much. Please, I mean it. Don't be strangers, because the people who will hear this, they'll come find you. Because some of the people who are in this community, like the other day, we had someone from Taiwan. So we now know that this little platform has a community of people who understand its principle, that is about celebrating humans who are using their unique skills and talents to move the human family forward. So to Mo and Michelle, separately and collectively, we bow and we wish you continued success. So thank you so much. Bye for now. From now on, Full Circle will be called Future Readiness with Zar, and we'll still have those thoughts expanding conversations and the streams of encouragement that you enjoy. If you're already subscribed to Full Circle with Zar, you are automatically subscribed to Future Readiness with Zar, and you can continue to listen to all the conversations on the podcast platform of your choice. But also let me know if there are any specific topics or guests you would like us to host. Enjoy, like, and share. And until the very next time, I wish you clarity and courage.